My name is Claire. I'm 29 years old. I work in publishing. I've always dreamed of a quiet, happy life. The kind of life where you come home to someone who knows how you like your tea, who listens to your stories even when they don't make sense, who sees all your broken parts and still says, "You're mine." I thought I had that once, with someone named Ethan. We met when I was 23. He was my senior at work, smart, quick-witted, effortlessly charming. He had this quiet confidence, the kind that didn't need attention but always got it. We worked late together on projects, laughed at the same bad jokes, shared playlists and coffee breaks. It didn't take long before our lives intertwined. He taught me to love jazz, and I taught him to love silence. I thought we understood each other completely. We were together for 3 years. We planned everything: apartment hunting, Sunday morning markets, even baby names in moments of silliness. But somewhere along the way, things started to shift. Slowly, like autumn sneaking into summer. He got a job offer in another city. Bigger role, more money. He said it was temporary. A year, maybe less. We could make it work. But long distance is not kind. Calls became shorter. Messages lost their spark. I started to feel like a guest in his life, not a part of it. And then, one night, after 3 weeks without hearing from him, he sent a message. "Claire, I think we need to let go." That was all. No explanation. No goodbye in person. Just a single sentence that broke everything I thought was permanent. I cried for months. I couldn't breathe without thinking of him. I replayed our memories like old songs, hoping for some closure that never came. I stopped listening to jazz. I changed my hair. I tried to delete every trace of him. But grief doesn't live in photos or texts. It lives in the spaces they once filled. 2 years passed. I went to therapy. I healed, or at least I tried. I told myself he was just a chapter, not the whole book. I focused on my work, rebuilt my routines, and learned how to smile again. And that's when I met James. James was everything Ethan wasn't. Patient, warm, steady. He wasn't the kind of man who swept you off your feet. He was the kind who stood beside you, day after day, until you realized you couldn't imagine him not being there. He was gentle in a world that often felt too loud. He made me feel safe. We dated for a year and a half. He met my parents, helped me through work stress, cooked for me when I was sick. There were no fireworks, no dizzy highs, but there was comfort, stability, and affection. I told myself that maybe this is what love looks like after pain. Maybe calm is better than chaos. And then, one evening, he proposed. We were at the lakeside cabin he loved so much. It was a quiet weekend. He made dinner, lit candles, played soft music. After dessert, he pulled out a small box and knelt in front of me. "Claire," he said, voice trembling just a little, "you make my world feel steady. I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" I looked at the ring. Simple, classic, beautiful. I looked at him. Kind eyes, gentle smile. A man who had done nothing but love me right. I should have felt joy. I should have cried tears of happiness. But instead, my chest tightened. Because in that moment, Ethan's face flashed in my mind. Not just his face, his laugh, his voice calling my name. The way he used to hold my hand when we crossed the street, like I might disappear. I remembered the way he once whispered "forever" against my forehead. I remembered our last hug, the one where I didn't know it was the last. And I realized something that hit me like a cold wave. I still loved him. Not in the same wild, desperate way, but in a quiet, aching way. A part of me was still holding on. And that part screamed at me in that moment, "You're not ready." James was still on one knee, waiting. I swallowed hard and smiled through the panic. "Can I have some time to think?" He looked surprised but nodded slowly. "Of course, take all the time you need." That night, I lay awake in the cabin bed, staring at the ceiling. My heart was a battlefield. One side whispered, "You've moved on. James is your future." The other side cried, "You're lying to yourself." I didn't sleep. When we got back to the city, things changed. James didn't push, but he was quieter. I tried to act normal, go to work, cook dinner, laugh at his jokes, but every smile felt like a mask. I started rereading my old journals, the ones I kept when I was with Ethan. I wanted to remember the truth, not the fantasy, but the reality. And what I found wasn't perfect. We had fights. He was moody sometimes. I was insecure. We weren't some tragic fairy tale, but we were real. And I had loved him with every part of me. I knew I couldn't say yes to James unless I let go of that love. So I did something I hadn't planned. I sent Ethan an email. Not to get him back, not to reopen old wounds, just to say what I had never said. "Hi, Ethan. I don't expect a reply. I'm not writing to blame or beg. I just needed to say that you mattered. Even now, a part of me still carries you. I'm about to make a big decision in my life, and I needed to let this go to do it right. I hope you're well. Be safe." I cried after sending it. Not because I missed him, but because I finally gave myself closure. He never replied, and that was okay. A few days later, I sat with James in the park. It was quiet. I held his hand and told him everything. About Ethan, about the proposal, about the confusion. He didn't interrupt. He just listened. When I finished, I said, "I don't want to marry you with a piece of my heart still stuck in the past. You don't deserve that. You deserve all of me. And I want to give you that. But I need time." He looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said, "Thank you. That's the bravest thing anyone's ever said to me." We didn't break up. We didn't plan a new date. We just paused. We still see each other. We still talk. And every day I feel lighter. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe James and I will find our way back to that lakeside cabin, ring in hand, ready this time. Maybe we won't. But I know one thing for sure. Love doesn't have to be perfect to be real. And healing doesn't come from rushing forward. Sometimes it comes from standing still and facing what still hurts. That's what I'm doing now. And slowly I'm learning how to love again, with honesty, with clarity, and with my whole heart.